And next is number 21. We're going to let Rick rest for another few minutes while Mr. Tim Konepke presents this staff report. This project is Wassissa and Wakulla Rivers flowing through time. The applicant organization is the Osceola Research Institute Incorporated. Tim?
So this is, again, the Wassissa and Wakulla Rivers Flowing Through Time project. They have indicated that their historical designations include a National Registered District, contributing resources, and individual local designation. They're requesting $475,000 in grant funds, and as a ready community with a reduced match, they're contributing $118,751 for match. This is an archaeological project, and as such, their scope of work includes archaeological survey, a remote underwater survey, field work, coring operations, data and sample analysis, dive equipment rental, expendable supplies, preparation of an archaeological report, educational science, and grant administration. There are no concerns or issues, but the professional archaeological services are required and have been included in the project scope and budget. And in terms of compliance for all archaeological projects, the archaeological report shall conform to Chapter 1846 of Florida Administrative Code. A 1A32 permit must be obtained from the Bureau of Archaeological Research prior to the beginning of field work conducted in state lands if applicable. A detailed field plan and methodology will need to be submitted to the division for review and approval prior to commencing the archaeological field work. And should be noted that the principal archaeological investigator, James Dunbar, is in good standing with the Bureau of Archaeological Research.
Okay. Thank you, Tim. Jim Dunbar, thank you for being here with us. You have brought a contingent of people with you, which I love to see. For the sake of time, though, could you please describe the people that are with you, and maybe then we won't have to shuffle around and let everyone introduce themselves individually.
Okay.
And introduce yourself, because I know you, but maybe everyone else does.
Okay, well, I'm James Dunbar, been archaeologist for 40-something years, I guess. And I have a real soft spot in my heart for the unusual archaeological resources that we find in this area. That would be the Wassissa, the Wakulla, the Osceola River. And we want to do anything we can to bring the public into this thing, have people understand how significant the resource is, and try to give a measure of better protection to all of those sites. With that said, we have Brett Boyd over here. He's with FWC Law Enforcement, as well as Joe Davis in the back. Joe is a land manager out at the Osceola River Wildlife Management Area. We've had some problems with looting, and we hope to be able to attenuate that. As well, Amy Conyers, who's the park manager at Wakulla. I do believe we're doing a good job there, and we'd like to be able to continue on that. One of my...
Jim, this is great. Could you please just introduce everyone, and then we'll move on with the review. I don't mean to be rude. I just want to be respectful of everyone's time.
Okay, and the blue shirts are staff that are working out on the...
Volunteers.
Volunteers project. And Holt, I'm sorry.
That's all right. I'm glad to throw in and Kent Watson.
And
Roman Watson.
and Andy Hemmings, who is our underwater archaeologist, Willett Boyer, who's our historic archaeologist, and myself, Paleo-Indian guy, so is Andy, and Ann Holt, of course, and I think that's about it.
Thank you all for being here. This is obviously a very well supported project. Are there any questions from the commissioners about this project application?
I do have one question. You have both terrestrial and underwater archaeology, and one of my questions is you're going to be taking materials from very diverse sources, and what do you have for a conservation lab?
Well, when we're running the fields project, we have a field conservation lab and a processing lab, but all the artifacts are going to the Florida Bureau of Archaeological Research, so if we find something that's in need of immediate attention, we would call on them, like maybe a fragile wooden artifact from an underwater context or something like that. So we would work with them. In addition, if we get paleontological remains, we have made an agreement with the Florida Museum of Natural History, which has the vertebrate paleontology program, to take in those fossils for curation. So they all go to different state agencies that have the management authority over them.
But you have all this, all these agreements already in place, so that you have a home for anything that you would recover on site that needed immediate conservation work.
If we had such a thing, we would make and get whatever the specimen was to the place it needed to be post-haste. We're not going to mess around and let a piece of waterlogged wood turn into a potato chip because it got dried out.
Thank you, sir, I appreciate it.
What about the artifacts that don't need conservation? What are your labs and curation?
Okay, well, we have a center in Monticello, Florida, and we usually hang on to the artifacts so we can do our interpretation. We have digital microscopes, 3D scanners, and we're working, probably we'll be using the University of Georgia radiocarbon lab because they have the ability to date bone the correct way. They can date bone collagen.
That's
I can
not
get
what I
into
meant,
the
Jim.
weeds
What
on
I
that.
meant is the artifacts that come in that don't need conservation. Do you
Yeah.
have a lab that processes them?
Yes, we
Yeah.
do. We have a
Right.
lab on site that
No,
processes.
I know. So you have a lab in Monticello. Then what do you do with them?
We get them all in a row and get them ready for the Bureau of Archaeological Research collections and take them to them.
Okay, so they go from your lab to BAR.
Correct.
All right.
And everything's from state lands, and that's what
Right,
you need
I
to
just
do.
want,
Yeah.
Mr. Wood?
Actually, this question is for the law enforcement officer. I was hoping that, I know we've made a lot of progress in trying to secure some of these lands, but I was hoping you could kind of describe some of the looting or some of the things that you've seen in the field from a, to a, I guess, someone like me who's a layman.
Sure, so I won't bore y'all with the law, 'cause I'm sure y'all know everything relating to the law with artifacts. Most of our issues are on the water, in the rivers, where we see people diving and taking artifacts, but we do have looting on some state lands. One of the management areas on those rivers we've had problems with for years, since I was the captain of investigations years ago, where we had people digging in the site there, and we put up multiple cameras on the site trying to catch the people. They find the camera and smash it, and so we've had issues like that around the state. But it's one of those things where it's ongoing. We'll do an operation and target it, and you catch one person, then there's someone else doing it in another spot in the state. It's something that our officers get training on when they're in the academy. We have 853 sworn in the state, from the colonel on down to our officers. So everyone's aware of it. We try and work it, but it's not something that's always as obvious as a guy who's hunting out of season. If a guy's on a river diving, you don't necessarily know if he's down there collecting artifacts. So it does take a little bit of knowledge and experience to know what they're doing, but our officers are fairly trained on it. It's something we don't make a ton of cases every year on, because we're not out trying to target the kid who finds an artifact on the side of the river, or even an adult who finds one Indian head if he's on the Moses River. But we do make cases on it every year. It is an ongoing problem. And we worked with Dr. Dunbar. We did a big undercover investigation. Gosh, I was trying to remember how many years back it's been. Seems like 2, but it's probably 4 or 5, maybe 6 years now, where we arrested 13 people on hundreds of felonies for taking illegal artifacts. And Dr. Dunbar was instrumental in helping us authenticate all the artifacts that we dealt with. It was literally thousands of items that we ended up recovering. I don't know if that answered your question.
No, thank you. That's why I was just trying to get a sense of, what the endangerment was.
And some sites more endangered than others. I think, the folks who are taking these items to do it commercially, they know oftentimes as much as the experts, so they know where the sites are, they know what they're targeting, and they know what's valuable. So it is an ongoing problem for sure.
Thank you.
Vince?
about protection of these sites. Will the designation, if it goes through, your goal is to have a National Historic Landmark District, how will that, this is for the law enforcement person, excuse me, how will that help you protect the sites?
So if it was designated a historic site,
National Historic Landmark.
I don't know that that would add an
That's what I
additional
thought.
tool for us, maybe federally. I'm not sure. If they're taking on state lands now, it's a violation, so I don't know that that would necessarily
Okay.
aid us in law enforcement.
Okay.
Any further questions from the commission? Dr. Benz?
Yeah, I have a concern, and my concern is that you have $750,000 out in open grants. You've had 3 special category grants, or 2, one in 2016, one in 2018. They're both open. You have a 2017 small grant for $40,000, which is open. Why do you need a 3rd one or a 4th one before you're done with the 3 you have open?
Well, we did actually finish, Phil, do you have that report? This is the report we submitted for the 2017. We do have that
That's
in.
a small grant for $50,000, $40,000?
No, this is the one of the big one. And the small grants, the ARI has more than one researcher, and I have not been involved with the small grants except for the one where we tested by posthole digger in the Wakulla Springs State Park. The whole idea behind this is to, bring to a conclusion a set of research, and I think by finishing up at Wakulla and including Wassissa, I recorded a number of sites there in 1980, and they have been impacted, and we want to do an evaluation of those sites, plus look at areas within Wassissa to do an interpretation of their integrity and that kind of thing. And frankly, there has not been that much done in the way of serious research in the Wassissa. In the Osceola, yes, in the Wakulla, yes, but not in the Wassissa. And I truly think that it would help if we can be successful to have a National Historic Landmark designation for those river basins. It might not exactly help law enforcement, but if we can get some kind of a higher profile recognition, and we try to go out and do public archaeology to, bring an awareness to people in the local region. Yeah, I just think
That's not my question, Jim.
okay.
My question is, why shouldn't you finish what you have, which is $750,000 worth of work, and you say you've got a report for one, and now you want another $500,000, almost $600,000. And I just don't see, I think that's a bit of an overreach.
Okay, well, we plan to have the report for,
The first 2 are completed and in. I don't know if
The
they're-
2 special category grants?
The first special category and the small grant, the other special category grant will be wrapping up in the next couple of months as we finish our last field work for the season.
Just as
So maybe you could give us an update.
Sorry, just as a point from grant staff, the small matching project I actually managed, that was closed out in March, I believe. And we do require that special category projects be closed by the time, this will be July 1st of next year, by the time that if funded, that project would be opening. So they would only have a special category open at that time.
So the 2018 special category grant will be closed when?
It will have to be closed. I mean, that grant period ends June 30th, but if they wish to receive grant funds,
June
they'd have to
30th
have
of
it-
what year?
Of 2019. They're 2-year.
The rules stipulate, I'm sorry, not the rule, the guidelines stipulate that only one special category grant can be opened by the grantee at any given time. So in order to receive this grant funding, they would have to close out the open grant before they could execute another
and
contract.
we plan on doing that in June, by June.
And just as another point of clarification, the 2017 special category grant was closed a few days ago.
And my
So-
information is wrong, and that's not
Well,
good.
it's of a few days ago, so that,
Mhm.
But currently, it's only one special category fiscal year 18 project that is currently open.
I have one last question.
Please go ahead.
And that concerns your crews. Are your crews all volunteer?
No, they're a mix of students, professional archaeologists, and volunteers. And we have enough people looking over that volunteers aren't just doing things by themselves, if that's a question you might have.
It always is. Thank you.
Any additional questions? Okay, well, thank you all very, very much for being with us today.